I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Ella, and some of you may know, some of you may not know, but I just want to do a little introduction before I actually get into it. So, my name is Ella, and for my semester-long physics project, I chose the topic of mental health. Most of my research was about the factors that contribute to mental health, and then I focused more on anxiety as a whole. For my final project, I created a video talking about the stigma behind mental health, which is what you're going to see after this, and the ways that we can end that. I have anxiety and it has greatly impacted my life. My doctor has diagnosed me with general anxiety and social anxiety and OCD. I am different from my friends that do not have it, and I can often feel that stigma because I feel like if I talk about it, they're going to think I'm different and weirder, and I feel like I should just kind of keep it to myself sometimes. My goal of my final project is to let people know that it's okay to not be okay. So many Americans struggle with mental health but do not reach out to help because of the stigma behind it. And that is what I'm trying to get people to see through this video. It is okay to not be okay, and no one is alone in their fight against mental illness. I also included in my video ways people without a mental illness can help end the stigma. I included many ways that people can help people with mental illnesses feel inclusive and not like they're being discriminated against everyone. They can help in ways such as showing respect and acceptance, advocating for mental health, and even learning more about mental health in order to understand exactly what some people go through on a day-to-day basis. So many people are afraid to get help because of the stigma, and I want to help end that by raising awareness and getting the word out to people that it's okay to not be okay. So in the next PowerPoint and video that I have created, we're going to talk about some of the mental illness facts and about the stigma behind mental health and how you and I can help end the stigma. Mental illness is a physical illness of the brain, and oftentimes this involves a change in emotion, behavior, or thinking. People struggling with their mental health may be in your family, live next door, teach your children, work in the next cubicle, or sit in the same church pew as you. However, only half of those affected receive treatment, often because of the stigma attached to mental health. Untreated mental illness can contribute to higher medical expenses, poor performance at school and work, and fewer employment opportunities. Mental illnesses affect 19% of the adult population, 46% of teenagers, and 13% of children each year. What are the most common mental illnesses? Some of the main groups of mental illnesses include mood disorders, such as depression or bipolar disorder, anxiety disorders, personality disorders, psychotic disorders, eating disorders, trauma-related disorders, and even substance abuse disorders. So, what are the factors that contribute to mental illnesses? Some of the biological factors include genetics, infections, brain defects, prenatal damage, substance abuse, or poor nutrition. Some of the psychological factors include psychological trauma, important early loss, neglect, and poor ability to relate to others. Some of the environmental factors include death or divorce, dysfunctional family life, feelings of inadequacy, low self-esteem, anxiety, anger, or loneliness, changing jobs or schools, social or cultural expectations, and even substance abuse by the person or the person's parents. Mental health is the overall wellness of how you think, regulate your feelings, and behave. Sometimes people experience a significant disturbance in this mental functioning. A mental disorder may be present when patterns or changes in thinking, feeling, or behaving cause distress or disrupt a person's ability to function. So now that we understand what a mental illness is and how it affects us, let's talk about breaking the stigma. Stigma is when someone views you in a negative way because you have a distinguishing characteristic or personal trait that's thought to be or actually is a disadvantage. Stigma can lead to discrimination. Discrimination may be obvious and direct, such as someone making a negative remark about your mental illness or your treatment, or it may be unintentional or subtle, such as someone avoiding you because the person assumes you could be unstable, violent, or dangerous due to your mental illness. You may even judge yourself. Some of the harmful effects of stigma can include reluctance to seek help or treatment, lack of understanding by family, friends, coworkers, or others, fewer opportunities for work, school, or social activities, or trouble finding housing, and even bullying, physical violence, or harassment. Health insurance doesn't adequately cover your mental illness treatment, or even the belief that you'll never succeed at certain challenges or that you can't improve your situation. You're not alone. Although the general perception of mental illness has improved over the past decades, studies show that stigma against mental illness is still powerful, largely due to media stereotypes and lack of education, and that people tend to attach negative stigmas to mental health conditions at a far higher rate than to other diseases and disabilities such as cancer, diabetes, or heart disease. Stigma affects not only the number seeking treatment, but also the number of resources available for proper treatment. Stigma and misinformation can feel like overwhelming obstacles for someone who is struggling with a mental health condition. If you feel like you are facing stigma against your mental illnesses, here are some ways to cope with that, because again, you are not alone. Get treatment. Don't let stigma create self-doubt and shame. Don't isolate yourself. Don't equate yourself with your illness. Join a support group. Speak out against stigma and get help at school. Others' judgments almost always stem from a lack of understanding rather than information based on facts. Learning to accept your condition and recognize what you need to do to treat it, seeking support, and helping educate others can make a big difference. Showing individuals respect and acceptance can remove a significant barrier to successfully coping with their illness. Having people see you as an individual and not as your illness can make the biggest difference for someone who is struggling with their mental health. 43.8 million adults experience a mental illness in America in a given year. That is 1 in 5 adults. 60% of adults with a mental illness didn't receive mental health services in the previous year, and nearly 50% of youth aged 8 to 15 didn't receive mental health services. And this is all most likely because of the stigma surrounding mental health. So let's end the stigma.